Julie for agreeing to marry me. Very nice of her. Thank you very much to Tamar and Jonathan for agreeing to host us. Thanks to my sister for arranging it. Thanks to Svi for not firing me at work. Thanks to God for keeping the whole thing ticking over and not deciding to just end everything. And thanks to Sam for not bombing us. So many things to thank for. I'm going to hand it to Jonathan, who's going to say a few Tory things.
So, I would say obviously a massive thank you for choosing us to host you. A massive thank you to my wife who went out of the way to schedule everything that we could do it today and we could be free. Over the last couple of weeks, normally when a student comes to you and he says, I'd like to get engaged. It's a very jubilant, auspicious occasion. In my case, when obviously my two very favorite students of mine, although they're all very favorite of mine, can't just say we want to get married. I was like, oh no! So what are we going to do? So I'd like to speak a little bit about the plate breaking, a little bit about the union in general, and then try not to take up people's time so we can get back to the real thing, which is the eating and far bringing with the husband color. The first thing is that on a higher metaphor, all of Judaism is about the connection between male and female aspects, opposite aspects of things that seem incongruous but have to be linked together. That's really the ikar of what we do. We take something that is whole and kodesh. We've got all these things, we have to blend them together in a life that is very, very complex but is extremely deep. In the last 2 years, or a year and a half, really, I've seen Elliot come from a guy who couldn't read the Mishnah to a guy who's got diukim on the Mishnah, who's got Tosfos, who's a little bit of Rashi, who's got kalim being built, like seeing the beautiful kalim, and you come to my ladies' classes and growing with us and always amazing questions and wonderful rapport. I know that these are two amazing people, and I've spent so much time with the families on the phone and off the phone the last couple of weeks. And I can tell you that if you've got anything that lots of people don't have today, is you've got the role model, not necessarily parental role model, you've got family role models. You know what family is? The sense of family going on in last night's meeting, which could have been very intense, was just so lovely and tamimous and so wonderful. It's so obvious that you've got all the right support around you to have a go and do something. Now, the truth is that we break two things. We break a plate at an engagement party, and we break a wine glass, typically. Actually, some people today use a light bulb because it sounds a lot louder. It goes off louder. If you have big hall on people.
But you can't find light bulbs anymore because they're prohibited.
So that's collected. So why is it we break a plate at one situation and we break a glass at another? I'd like to explain. The inyan of earthenware pottery in kashrus is a big one, because earthenware receives taste very greatly, and it can never be kashered really. There are people who say you can leave it for a year here and there. There's nothing you can do to the plate once it's become treif. Really, you have to break it. The same way that when you're building a relationship and with your family, if someone breaks a plate in the kitchen, which I'm sure anybody who's married who has a husband knows that they start washing something, they're going to drop a plate. It's nothing really to have an argument about. A broken plate is nothing to have an argument about. But unlike a marriage, a broken engagement, you can't put the plate back together very often. With a broken glass, you can take the pieces once they've shattered and put them back together, melt it down and rebuild it, so that you have a new kli. You might lose some volume, obviously, in the course of this. The breaking of the kalim is something that is very intrinsic to the story of Bereshit and everything, the breaking of the original vessels, and in the fallen vessels we get a chance to lift it up. And I feel like lots of these things are obviously big ideas. We have to take them and try and absorb some of them and try and live with the metaphor, which is what being married is. It's taking the Jewish metaphor, so to speak, of this to a real practical level. And so I want to give you a blessing, but it's like sort of a blessing with a bit of a, sort of a blessing of a catch. So you should be blessed with shalom all the days that you're together. You should be blessed with adequate parnasa. You should be blessed with simcha and with goodness and with help and support from your family. But you should know that now in the engagement period we have hopes and dreams. Dreams we wake up from, but hopes we hold on to. the reality we wake up to after a year or two of marriage, after, especially if you speak to the people around you, older than I am for sure, but much more experience, they'll tell you again it changes and it changes again, especially when the kids are. The dreams we wake up from, but the hopes we've got to hang on to. So I'm going to ask both mothers to come forward if I can. I try and find this plate wherever it is.
That's not it.
Oh, okay. We got it. Sippy has it.
Oh, okay.